We understood that they want to kill me, to kill my friends, to kill everyone they see. So we hid in a little tree. We didn't make any sound for 9 hours. We stayed in the tree, and that's how we saved our lives.
I was lying in the floor. It was the second hidden that I find. And they were just all around me. And they were going tree by tree and shooting everywhere from two sides. And I saw many people were dying, like all around.
Like every nation in the world, Israel has the right to respond, indeed has a duty to respond to these vicious attacks. I just got off the phone with a third call with Prime Minister Netanyahu, and I told him, the United States experience what Israel is experiencing, our response would be swift, decisive, and overwhelming. We also discussed how democracies like Israel and the United States are stronger and more secure when we act according to the rule of law. Terrorists purposely target civilians, kill them. We uphold the laws of war, the law of war. It matters, there's a difference.
Where walls go up, illegal crossings go way, way down.
I want to talk about Israel and the blatant, terroristic, evil Hamas attack that was financed by Russia.
A new rule, this dangerous idea that has taken root in America that something is true merely because you want to believe it's true has got to go.
In response, a strong security wall was put in place.
Well, we've got breaking news. We are now learning that the death toll from the Hamas attacks on Israel has gone up significantly. That number is now at least 1,200 people, according to an Israeli public broadcaster. And we had been saying about 1,000, so that number going up by at least 200 here. And it comes as questions grow about who was behind the attack. And today, Vladimir Putin had a very tepid response to Hamas's attack, which killed at least 2 Russian citizens.
This powerful barrier almost completely ended illegal crossings.
I'll tell you one story that really hit home with me where I started to cry yesterday. I was treating people that are in critical condition, intubating them, doing chest decompressions the whole time. When I met 2 kids that just were held hostage, somehow were in a closet for 12 hours, finally escaped. The army came in and got them out. And after that, they said to me, I saw my parents get killed in front of me. I'm hungry. I haven't eaten in the last 12 hours.
I told them to stop everything and go to the safe room, but in 7:35 we lost contact with them, and we didn't know what happened. And I talked with my brother that lives in Kfar Aza as well, and he told me after a few hours, he told me that my mom texted him there is a terrorist in their house, and she thinks my dad is dead. Didn't make it.
Simply put, walls work and walls save lives.
While the Magalorian is on a full all-caps alert, writing, I kept Israel safe. Nobody else will, nobody else can, and I know all of the players.
That America had become a place where truth no longer mattered. It was all about whether it felt right in your gut.
Trump would like us to believe that his mere presence would have kept Hamas out of Israel and Russia out of Ukraine. This is from a guy who couldn't even keep Kanye out of Mar-a-Lago.
Asks, does it matter that neither of those things really happened? Yes. Yes, it does matter.
For nearly a year now, we've known that Russia buys their missiles from Iran.
After hundreds of Israelis were slaughtered by Hamas near Gaza, condemnation and condolences poured in from around the world, but not from Russian leader Vladimir Putin. Now, in his first comments, instead of empathy, Putin blasting the U.S.
This is a clear example of the failure of the United States policy in the Middle East, which tried to monopolize any settlement between Israelis and Palestinians.
It does matter. If you want to speak truth to power, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you have to include the truth part.
The same people that raided Israel are pouring into our once beautiful USA through our totally open southern border at record numbers. Are they planning an attack within our country? Crooked Joe Biden and his boss, Barack Hussein Obama, did this to us.
How is that different than this guy?
And I watched in Jersey City, New Jersey, where thousands and thousands of people were cheering as that building was coming down.
We've known for 20 years now that Hamas gets their missiles from Iran.
Kremlin-controlled TV following suit, mocking both America and Israel for allegedly being caught off guard by Hamas's attack.
Mossad and its famous counterintelligence, as well as the U.S. and its CIA, slept through Hamas's invasion. It's the biggest Israeli failure in security since 1973.
This country needs to make a grand bargain. Bullshit is bad, no matter who says it or what you call it.
Jewish space laser lady herself, Marjorie Taylor Greene.
What happened to Israel could happen to America because our country has been invaded by millions of people from over 160 countries.
And the Gazpacho police do nothing about it. They let them all right in. It's hard to believe that people are dumb enough to believe this stuff, but
it's all about getting to the truth, man. And what better way to do that than by lying?
Russia and Iran are both under sanctions. But nobody gets around sanctions like Iran. And Russia knows this.
Russia has long been allied with Israel's staunchest adversaries and Hamas's most important backers, bombing Syrian rebels in support of pro-Iranian fighters battling on the side of Syrian President Bashar al-Assad during Syria's civil war. But Russia also maintained strong ties and security arrangements with Israel, Putin meeting Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu on many occasions.
We in no way underestimate the importance of measures that would ensure very strong security of the State of Israel.
But since Putin launched his full-scale war against Ukraine, Tehran has become a key ally for Moscow at Israel's expense, fostering economic and military ties with Iran, while Tehran provides the Russian army with scores of Shahed drones the Russians used to hit Ukrainian cities and infrastructure, Kyiv says, even though Tehran denies it.
And there's enough real racism in the world that making up more doesn't help.
So we have the worst education almost in the large world. The world that people know about?
Do you support the Senate version of a CR?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Strongly support the Senate version.
Okay. So the difference between the Senate version and this version is that this version does not include Ukraine funding. So are you telling me that you would shut down the government if there's not Ukraine funding?
I might just say to you that, and maybe you have had the chance to read 71 pages. This bill doesn't extend the authority to help Ukrainian refugees.
Reclaiming my time.
Of course reclaiming my time.
He seems to literally feel cheated by progress.
And just like Russia's having to go to North Korea to get their artillery shells, they went to Iran to get their missiles. And whoa, the Iranians made a shitload of money. 40 billion they made. That we know about.
I find it very strange indeed that there is no mention of several things, at least preliminarily, which we have looked at in this bill. There are many changes between this bill, as the gentleman asked me, and the Senate bill. There are many changes. The gentleman from New York should understand that there are many changes between this bill and the Senate bill. Here is one that I believe the majority will not mention. They amend the Senate bill to give themselves a pay raise.
Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky claiming Moscow's allegiance in the Middle East has shifted towards Tehran.
We see how Russian propagandists are gloating. We witness how Moscow's Iranian allies openly lend support to those who attacked Israel.
And Aaron, the Kremlin has denied Volodymyr Zelensky's allegations that the Russians are trying to inflame the situations between the Israelis and the Palestinians. However, the former chief rabbi of Moscow, who of course fled Russia about 2 weeks after the full-on invasion of Ukraine, he today said that the lack of show of support of Russia for Israel is an ominous sign of deteriorating relations between those countries. Aaron?
A pay raise. It's there. Yeah, you can look at me, you can smile, but what you did was you amended the Senate bill to give yourselves a pay raise, while you have threatened day in and day out service members, you have threatened workers across this country, and you've said to them, we don't really care about you and whether or not you can support your family. We don't care about that. No. We mainly care about ourselves and our pay raise. And you know, it pretty is true to form with what the American people thinks about members. But they should know which members are willing to give them up in their own self-interest for a pay raise. It is despicable. You are about to shut the government down. But hours before you do so, you give yourself a pay raise.
Will suspend.
It's pathetic.
Will suspend.
And Iranian missiles run on Russian jet fuel. It's pretty good stuff.
Former Israeli ambassador to the United Nations and Israel's former deputy defense minister, Danny Danon. And I really appreciate your time, Ambassador. So Fred's reporting Russian citizens are killed in the attack. Putin silent, really, for days. Many Russians live in Israel. There are very close ties between those two countries as well. And yet Putin showing virtually no sympathy at all for Israel. Nothing at this point. Why do you think that is?
This is unacceptable. We have witnessed a horror attack against Israelis. 1,200 people were killed, butchered in a daylight. So we expect more than a leader. We saw President Biden's speech, and we appreciated his speech. It was very emotional. It was a remarkable speech, I have to tell you, because we are still digesting those attacks. It was very hard for us. The pain is still in our stomach, and we are grateful for the support coming from the US, from Europe, from almost all over the world. I cannot explain Putin's behavior.
Oh, man, if people don't like you now, it's because you're shady.
Now under crooked Joe Biden and, frankly, his boss, Barack Hussein Obama. I think it's his boss. Barack Hussein Obama. Crooked Joe Biden and his boss, Barack Hussein Obama.
That's a 2007 dog whistle, man. Barack Hussein Obama is totes not my bae. He's the opposite of lit. Now drop the beat. I don't know how to close an umbrella. Ella.
So the Russians have been selling rocket fuel to Iran. And Iran has been selling missiles to Russia.
Fleiken pointed out, Russia's long been allied with Iran. And of course, we've seen that intensify, if I could use that word, with the Ukraine war as well. Iran is the key backer of Hamas. Do you think that if Iran had any advanced knowledge, that Russia would have had advanced knowledge? I mean, do you see any ties here that you're starting to tie together?
Well, Iran is very involved in what's happening here. They are funding Hamas and Hezbollah for years. They are training Hamas operatives. We know that Hamas experts went to Tehran to get training about explosives and other things. So we know Iran is involved. And maybe, I don't know for sure, but maybe what we saw in the last few weeks, the relationship between Israel and Saudi Arabia, it wasn't very good for Iran. So maybe that is the reason for the timing, because it was an unprovoked attack against Israel. Nobody can find logic for the timing of these vicious attacks.
How do you think Iran's able to finance all of this?
So how involved do you think Iran was? I mean, the White House has been careful. They've sort of said that there's ambiguous ties, that Iran is broadly complicit, but that there's no intelligence directly linking Iran to this actual attack. Do you buy that?
No. When you fund Hamas and you give them hundreds of millions of dollars every year, you control Hamas. So basically, both Hamas and Hezbollah are proxies of Tehran. They control them. And that is why we're sending a very clear message today to Hezbollah and to Tehran. Watch very carefully what will happen in Gaza. Don't mess with us. We are not playing anymore. We're going to hunt down Hamas. And if anyone will try to play with us, either from north or somewhere else, it will be under our guns as well.
Hamas is financed by the Soviet. And they're trying to do the exact same thing to Israel that Russia is trying to do to Ukraine. Wipe them off the map.
So as you are massing IDF forces, paratroopers, snipers along that Gaza border, is there anything that will be off limits when, if, I assume at this point it's when, Israel goes in?
We will do whatever is necessary to eliminate Hamas. We're going to come from the sea, we're going to come from the land, we're going to come from the air, we're going to hunt them down. They butchered 1,200 Israelis, and they went to the communities. They didn't attack soldiers, they attacked women. Today we actually saw the pictures of innocent babies that were tied up and burned alive. Those are animals. We have to fight them, we have to hunt them down, and we are committed to do it. You know, we are still in pain, in shock, and I think in a few days we will start to show the might of the IDF, the strength of the Israeli people. We put politics aside now, we are united, and we're going to go into war against Hamas.
And at his rally, on the day of the attack, he stayed laser focused on the international crisis.
Hannibal Lecter, how great an actor was he?
How great an actor was Hannibal Lecter? I mean, he acted like he wasn't going to eat those people.
Who immediately found a way to make it about himself. He wrote, the horrible attack on Israel, much like the attack on Ukraine, would never have happened if I were president. Zero chance. That's right. If he was president, we'd all be blissfully downing jiggers of bleach.
We went on to ChatGPT, and this is true. It responded, the Middle East conflict is a serious and ongoing situation that affects many lives.
Republicans claim to be no friend of Russia. They just don't want to fund the war in Ukraine because, you know, we should be building a wall.
And making jokes about such matters can easily be seen as insensitive, disrespectful, or offensive to those who are suffering as a result. I, for one, want to commend our future robot overlords. That is a rare show of humanity from something that can't identify which photos contain a traffic light.
And then, because he was so upset about this tragedy, he posted a photo of himself from back when he and his waistline were still in their 40s playing tennis. There's Subpoena Williams right there.
He ate those guys' faces like a slice of Papa John's. I mean, what a pro. I mean, you're never going to see Meryl Streep eat someone's face. That's...
Can you imagine? I mean, seriously. Can you imagine anyone else in the world doing anything even remotely like that? The guy who claims to be the most pro-Israel president of all time.
Why I like him? Because he said on television, on one of the, I love Donald Trump, so I love him. I love him. And I stood proudly with our friend and ally, the state of Israel, and I will do it again. You heard about today, the Hamas terrorist invasion.
Yes, the Hamas, the Baba Ganoush, the falafels.
I love Hannibal. I love Norman Bates. He and I both get very upset when there's bad water pressure in the shower. You know who else loves me? Palpatine, great Emperor Palpatine.
Our missiles will appear in the air that not a single enemy will have a chance of survival in several directions at once.
Remember Mace Windu? Threw him right out the window. Should have called him Mace Windows. I love that clown from It. Fun guy, always carries balloons for the kids. Gave me some great makeup advice. I love him.
But he's laying out clearly that he has very powerful weapons he's willing to use.
Also, you gotta love that kooky Babadook. Babadook, love the name. You know who else said I love Donald Trump? Scar. Gotta love him. Some call him a king, a lion king.
Iran and Russia are the same. Iran and Russia are doing the same thing. And now, Russia is doing it to America's greatest ally.
So in a way, you could say I was endorsed by a king, so I love him. Hyenas are our allies, guys. I don't know why we're arming the Ukrainians against the hyenas. How about Voldemort, folks? Hell of a leader out there.
I don't know how else to say it. If you support Russia in the war in Ukraine, then you support Hamas against Israel, because Hamas is financed by the Soviet.
They say you can't say his name, but I'll name him. We love Voldemort, don't we? I saw in the Daily Prophet, he said he loves Trump, so I love him, and he is, he loves me. He loves me publicly. He's such a brown-noser. If he had a nose, it would be brown.
But hell, Republicans never had a problem being financed by the Soviet. Never had a problem selling missiles to Iran either. Now did they? I'm Zachariah, Lone Star Liberal. Y'all take it easy.
And then we have the easy one, the wall. That'll be the one that will be the easiest of all. When you look at what happened with the caravans, with the people, with a lot of, we shut it down. We had no choice. We shut it down. People are pouring into our country, including terrorists. We have terrorists. These are people that were looking to do harm. We need the wall.
But you tell me, if the leader of the Democratic Party, so that would be Joe Biden, was facing 4 indictments with 91 felony counts. He had been found liable of sexually assaulting a woman and defaming her. That's E. Jean Carroll. Guilty of fraud, sharing the nation's secrets, not only in the Mar-a-Lago indictment, but there was a report yesterday from ABC News that he had shared information about our nuclear submarine capacities with an Australian billionaire.
The investigation has revealed that Trump allegedly discussed potentially sensitive information about U.S. nuclear submarines with an Australian billionaire who was a member of former President Trump's Mar-a-Lago club in Florida. Those sources also telling us that that billionaire then shared the information with scores of others.
So all of that is happening, and he's shooting up in the polls. And when you see those interviews of Trump supporters outside of the rallies, they're like, none of this is true. It's the big lie. He won the election, et cetera. And you wouldn't say to me, you guys are in a cult? It's actually tame what Hillary Clinton was saying.